Thursday night football between Washington and the Giants. We've got bets, the return of Parlay to Paradise, and the debut of a little something called Blind Bet. Even we're not sure how it works. That's how confusing this show, with this episode of Bet's going to be. He's Tyler Fulghum. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. For you, my friend, Kareem Skyhook. This guy called the Chargers last week. I loved Washington in that matchup. Quarterback did go down with an injury, sour grapes, yes. But congratulations, that was a good call. We went head-to-head on a lot. You looked good last week.
Well, you had your fair share of licks in there as well, brother.
A couple here and there.
I don't know what that crown is doing on your desk over there.
We will get to that in just a minute. Before we remind you, youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting is where we are rolling out daily YouTube shorts, as they call them, picks, analysis, instant reactions to things that are happening in the sports world. And with that, we transition to segment number 1, Survive the Eliminator, using all the words in the world to title a segment you are familiar with, the Eliminator Challenge. We are 1 week in, and only one of us has made it. That would be me. Taking the Carolina Panthers, who handled the New York Jets. Fancy boy over here decided to get cute with Jacksonville over Houston, and they went down 14-0 early. Now, if you remember from last year, I, the self-proclaimed king of the elimination in week 1, I am so good at it. And I went ahead and I delivered on that promise last year, getting knocked out by the Jacksonville Jaguars when I took the Indianapolis Colts. This is for you. Now, I know you do spend quite a bit of time on the hair there, so I don't want to mess it up.
Well, thank you.
You look nice. But our new Survivor King, ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Fulghum.
Sit down. Be humble in my grace and my presence as the Survivor King.
At the very least, that thing blew up on you quick, so you could kind of move away from it. You didn't have to suffer through the full 60 minutes.
Let's just admit it, I got cocky, all right? I don't think the Texans will win another game this season. I got cocky week 1.
Now, it's all in good fun. Because last year you gave me the opportunity to jump back in and continue picking. So that is what we are going to do right now, pretending as if nothing ever happened. Week number 2, because you had a hell of a run last year, and traditionally you are very good in this format. So, without further ado, what would you be playing if you had the opportunity here in week 2?
Again, probably should have done this last week, and the other option outside of picking on Jacksonville to be pick on Detroit. Or pick on the Texans, would be pick on Detroit, and San Francisco won that game. But I'm going to go back to picking on the Texans because now they actually play a good football team. Jacksonville is not. This week they're playing the Cleveland Browns. They're favored by almost 2 touchdowns at home, coming off that tough loss against the Kansas City Chiefs. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt should have a field day running all over this squad. We'll see if Odell Beckham Jr. is able to lace them up for the first time this season. That'd be another boost for that team. Defensively, a complete mismatch for Tyrod Taylor and that Texans offense that looked capable against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but keep in mind the Jags might just be trash this year. No, they are trash this year as long as Urban Meyer is coaching things. So the Browns would be the team, if I was still alive, I rely on to survive.
All right, take 2. He's going with the Browns. Browns are a good option. Packers are a huge favorite over the Lions. Buccaneers, huge favorite over the Falcons. Passing on all of them. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Raiders of Las Vegas. This is a situational play at its finest. The Raiders just played on Monday night. Huge win over the Baltimore Ravens, right? You don't think they maybe went out and celebrated a little bit Monday night? Then you come into the facility on Tuesday. All right, time to get to work. Who do we got? Yeah, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Across the country. Early start time, 10 a.m. body clocks for those of us who live here in the Pacific time zone, and you're without Denzel Good, an offensive guard who was starting for you. This is already a rebuilt offensive line. Pittsburgh can pressure. Pittsburgh can play D. Pittsburgh's got their home opener. I think Pittsburgh smacks the Raiders in this game. Lay the 6. Put some 6-point teasers in there so you don't even have to worry about the spread. Steelers and Survivor are the way to go. Now, if there was a game out there that you would avoid at all costs when it comes to the Survivor Challenge, what would it be?
It would be the San Francisco 49ers facing your Philadelphia Eagles. Undefeated. First place Philadelphia Eagles. Now, San Francisco opened the season in Detroit. Now a second road game, this time all the way in Philadelphia against an Eagles outfit that looked pretty dang good against Atlanta. Jalen Hurts, that offense, the pass catchers, Devontae Smith. Kudos to Nick Sirianni, who absolutely bombed the press conference when he was introduced, but did a wonderful job game planning for this Philadelphia offense against Atlanta. So I don't like the spot for that defense in San Francisco, given what the the Eagles showed in week 1 because Jason Barrett is out for the rest of the season, and Dre Greenlaw, who had a pick 6 against Jared Goff, is out for 5 or 6 weeks. So defense is a little compromised. Like the Eagles, avoid San Francisco. I think Philly can win that game outright.
There are a lot of games on the schedule this week I would want nothing to do with when it comes to Survivor. One that jumps out, Arizona hosting Minnesota. A lot of people might think the Cardinals just smashed Tennessee. The Vikings lose in overtime at Cincinnati. Good time to slide Arizona in there before they get into the NFC West schedule, as all those teams went undefeated. Just be careful. Arizona looked great. This isn't a knock on them. There's an overreaction that takes place in week 1. All right, last year, Cleveland lost by like 40 in week 1. Jacksonville beat the Colts in week 1. How'd that all work out for them down the stretch? Jacksonville lost every single game after that game, right? Keep that in mind. Minnesota's a shaky team, but it's not going to surprise me if they find a way to turn it around. You go through the box score, there were a lot of metrics that point to them winning that game. They had a bad call against them in overtime from the officials with Dalvin Cook and the fumble. I'm going to leave it there. Not going to surprise me in the least if Arizona wins, but if you're considering the Cardinals, just take a pause for the cause because Zimmer's on the hot seat, and that's, I'm not going to say a must-win game, but desperation setting in soon with the Minnesota Vikings. Those are games that are taking place this weekend. But what about tonight? Thursday night football between the Washington football team and the New York football Giants. Washington laying 3.5, total of 41. ESPN NFL reporter Kimberly A. Martin on New York Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. This guy is 4-0 lifetime against the Washington football team. So how does Washington plan to prepare for Daniel Jones?
The Giants didn't play well last week against the Broncos, but head coach Joe Judge told me that his Monday meetings are always the same. It's not a pep rally, he said, and it's not a funeral. The Giants still have a ton of confidence in Daniel Jones, and they certainly have confidence in his record against Washington. He's 4-0. Washington head coach Ron Rivera is well aware of that fact. Even though the Giants have had issues with the O-line play and Jones has had trouble protecting the football, Rivera told me tonight can be a favorable matchup for us, but for whatever reason, Daniel Jones has this crazy record against us. Obviously, it must be personal, he joked, because he seems to be pretty effective against us.
Great stuff, Kimberly. Thank you very much. So here's the game. Washington laying 3.5, total 41. The lovely Anita Marks just sent a text message.
Yes, I got that.
Weather issues in our nation's capital.
You, Anita.
Field messy. Keep that in mind. Let's start with the game. Side or total, your choice. How would you play?
I'm going to play the Washington football team side, but I'm going to play them in the first half as opposed to laying 3.5 for the entire game, as opposed to buying that hook down to 3 and cost me some more money. I'll lay the 3 in the first half. At worst, I push here if this game goes to the script, I think, which is Washington strangling the New York football Giants with their dominant defense and the mismatch that front seven has against the New York Giant offensive line. Also, Daniel Jones, especially if it's raining and wet. This guy's already the most turnover-prone quarterback in the NFL these days, and if you're adding those elements of moisture to the football, that can only exacerbate the problem for one Daniel Jones. So 2.5 if you can find that, 3 in the first half. So that's a nice, round, comfy number. I don't get burned over the course of the entire game, laying 3.5.
Gotta be honest, you look better in the crown than I thought you would. I don't like it. You're supposed to look like a fool, and somehow that plus the shirt really goes well together, and I'm not happy with it. It should have been a dunce cap, but that's neither here nor there at the moment. Let's go back over to camera 3, because I got something to tell the people. Not really all that much. It's just a game pick. I'm going to go under 41 points in this matchup. I'm not expecting a whole lot from the New York Giants offense. Weather's one thing in this game, but Washington's defense last week was very good in that loss to the Chargers. Sure, they gave up over 400 yards. They only gave up 20 points, and 7 of those came when the Washington offense fumbled on their own 3-yard line. Pretty much everyone's given up a touchdown in that situation. So it was an excellent defensive effort, despite being on the field for 36 minutes. I don't see that happening tonight. I see the pressure getting after Daniel Jones early, Washington offense being somewhat anemic, but again, in the weather, with issues on the offense, Ryan Fitzpatrick down. I like Heineke. Do I like him enough to cover 3 and a hook? I will just go with the total. Under 41 is the play for this guy. Let's go to the prop market. Give me 2 of your favorites. It could be anything.
Yeah, so again, we talk about those potential issues with the weather. I'll start with this on the Washington football side, Taylor Heineke. Maybe the weather prevents him from throwing the ball as efficiently as he would like. We already know this, and he showed it in the playoff game last year against Tampa Bay. He was a good athlete. He's got some legs, got some quick, so I'm going to go over his rushing prop of 21.5 yards. Giants defense is good. If they put some pressure on him, I think he can escape, turn some potential negative plays into positive plays. And you may even see Ron Rivera draw up a design run or two for Heineke because of those wheels. Then on the other side, Saquon Barkley, I'm going under 42.5 rush yards as his prop. To me, I know that's a low number, but Saquon, I can't imagine is going to play as many snaps or get as many touches as he did in Week 1. Week 1, he was preparing for coming off a significant injury, and he had months to get prepared for that. Then immediately after playing his first game after major reconstruction surgery to his knee, has to go on a short week visit to Washington for a Thursday night game in the rain. He only had 10 carries against Denver, netted 26 yards. Washington and Denver have very similar defenses in terms of talent. I see a very similar stat line, maybe even fewer rushes, but certainly not 43 yards for Saquon. I'm under on him, over on Heineke.
All right, I'll stick at the running back position, but I'm going over to the Washington side of the equation. Antonio Gibson over 72.5 rushing yards. This has climbed 5 yards today. Part of it's probably the weather. Part of it is probably the silky smooth analysis I delivered when I talked about this on Daily Wager just over an hour ago. Gibson ran for 90 yards last week against the Chargers, but he did it in about 24 minutes. They barely had the ball, and they were trailing in that game. Okay, tonight, you're not going to be holding the ball for 24 minutes, and you're going against a Giant defense that just allowed Denver to average 5.9 yards per carry in that game. That was worst of all teams in the NFL last weekend. In the rain as well, you're going to see an increased workload. I like it over 72.5 rushing yards. Daniel Jones, longest completion, 35.5 yards. I'm going to go under, but with caution. When I liked this earlier today, it wasn't raining. Now it is. Defensive backs can fall down. Quirky things can happen. If you want to tail this, tail it for a little half-unit wager here. This is something that Jones hit last week. In fact, he had 2 different receivers that had receptions of more than 35 yards. I just don't see it happening against this defense. The New York Giant offensive line, highly suspect, and with the Washington team able to bring consistent pressure with just 4 guys, that means they can drop 7 in the coverage. You're not going to have a lot of time in the rain to get deep down the field unless it's a broken play. I think it's going to be a struggle for the vertical passing attack of the Giants, under 35.5 yards for Daniel Jones' longest completion.
I like that one. I'm going to go full steam ahead on that. I'm not going to proceed with caution.
So despite the fact that I say take it easy,
you're just going to go barreling in. But I like it because I think there's no chance Daniel Jones has time to give us those 5-7-step drops against this defense that could develop routes that go that deep.
Okay.
You
full steam ahead.
Exercise caution over there. I understand. All aboard.
Something tells me that's not the first time someone's been like, hey, take it easy. You'd be like, no, ratchet it up.
Who,
full
me?
steam ahead. Triple down.
Who, me?
All right. It's now time for the debut of a new segment here on Bet. It is called Blind Bet. Here's how the game works. It's a cross between the Showcase Showdown on Price is Right and Let's Make a Deal.
Ooh, okay.
In my hands, I have 2 envelopes, aptly numbered 1 and 2. Okay? In these envelopes, each envelope, there is a prop bet for tonight's Thursday night game between the Giants and the Washington football team. It's not an option. It's either an over or it's an under. It is a prop bet that has been made. So Tyler will pick an envelope. He will choose whether or not he wants to stick with the prop contained in the envelope. If he passes, I get stuck with it. If he sticks with it, and I get the other one. Did that make any sense to you? It felt like it made some sense coming out of my mouth.
You did a good job explaining it.
Okay, so here we go. I don't know if we have a drum roll or anything like that. Carmack, Squid and Chevrolet. Squid and Chevrolet. You get your option here. Which one are you going to go with?
I'm going to go with 2.
The deuce.
I'm going to go with 2.
All right, my friend. You have not seen these. I have not seen these.
I have not.
You get the deuce. That is your prop if you want it, or you can pass it over to your boy.
Is behind door number 2. New York Giants score the most field goals plus 110.
Interesting.
I, in this game, do not want to bet on the Giants scoring anything more than anyone in this game. So I will pass. You can have the Chevrolet and let me see what's behind door number 1.
All right, so that means I get the deuce. I'm not too upset with this. If it's going to be given to me and I don't have an option,
plus price,
I'll go ahead and take it. Plus price, the Giants. Here's something you want to know. As much as the Chargers moved the ball last week, 426 yards, they only put up 20 points on Washington. Washington's red zone defense was pretty sick in that game, despite that one touchdown that was given up because Washington's offense fumbled on the 3-yard line. They can get stops, which means if you can stop the Giants, we're going to be kicking field goals. And with the weather as sloppy as it is, and the Washington football team a favorite, you never know. If they're moving the ball better, you could have some big misses because of the weather. If I'm going to get stuck with this one, it's not the end of the world. Giants. most field goals. I hope it's 1-0 because I did bet the under in this game, so I would like to see as little scoring as possible. All right, so Tyler, that means you get door number 1.
Numero uno.
I hope this is an alternate bet in which both teams combine to score over 200 points.
Over 9.5 total punts in the game at plus 110. Donnie, what do we have for him? A new car! I love it. Wet conditions, good defenses, one quarterback who stinks, another one who I think might actually be all right, but is a backup quarterback for good reason. Did I mention wet, rainy conditions for the offense to deal with? I am gladly going to take over 9.5 punts, and I would bet if this was the prop, I would not go under this. 5 punts from each team. I think the Giants will contribute a few there. We could see 6-7 punts in the first half.
If I could swear right now, I would, because I love that bet.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic bet.
I love it too.
This is a trash bet. I don't want this trash bet anymore. Get that out of here. Ugh. 9.5 punts. You might get 5 punts in the first quarter.
That's what I mean. Like, we got prime. There could not be better conditions in a football game for a lot of punts. It's literally the lowest total we've seen in the NFL this year, probably in a long time. Oh, maybe what was that, Jacksonville-Denver game when Denver didn't have a quarterback last year? Wasn't that like a total of like 32?
The total was, I think, 10.
It was beautiful sunny day in Denver. Wet, rainy, nasty
This
in
is
Washington.
ridiculous.
Great defenses, suspect offenses to say the least. All right, I think I came out on top there. Yeah.
That's a great bet. I hope the Giants open the game with a 12-minute drive that ends in a turnover. I should say field goal.
You know what?
Man.
You're lucky.
That's a good bet. If we weren't on TV right now, I would get my phone out. I would make that bet. I would pull what they call a Kazarian and make a bet while on
bet
TV.
In the middle of a show.
He doesn't actually do that.
You get to pick first. You get to pick first next week. So
who cares?
Well, then you get an opportunity to see both.
Coin flip. It's a 50-50
you get an opportunity to see both.
All right, nicely done. Let's try to pick some winners as a team this time. Welcome to Parlay to Paradise. Something we did last season with no success whatsoever because we were greedy.
Well,
what was it, $50 parlays or $20 parlays last week? $50.
They were 9 legs. 9-leggers.
4 from him, 4 from me. Can be college or pro, and then we'd bring in a guest who would make a pick as well. We were horrible. We never got close. So we decided we're going to scale it back to just a 5-leg parlay this year. My cohort will pick 2 games, I will pick 2 games, and a special guest will pick 2 games. So you will begin this leg. 2 options. What are they going to be, college or pro? Your call.
All right, I'm going to start on Saturday. In college. I like the Ohio State Buckeyes at the shoe, laying 7 in the first quarter against Tulsa. Why? Well, they just were in front of their home fans, got beat by Oregon last week. Not a bad loss. Oregon's a good team. Now they get to return in front of those fans in the shoe they disappointed so much with that loss to Oregon, and they get an overmatched Tulsa team. Did you see, by the way, C.J. Stroud chucking that pillar around the shoe against that Oregon defense?
Yes, I did.
They were moving the rock, baby. And I think as long as they get 2 or 3 possessions in this game against Tulsa in the first quarter, they will assert dominance with their offense and likely do the same, overmatching them with the prowess and the talent they have on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
So love Ohio State in a mini little bounce back spot in the first quarter against Tulsa. Then to the NFL on Sunday, I like Teddy ATS and the Broncos against the Jaguars.
Have you not learned your lesson with these Jacksonville games?
I apparently not.
Just right back to the well.
Right back to the well. This time, I'm not putting my faith in Jacksonville. I'm going to be a betting bully against the Jags because of what they did to me in the Survivor, Eliminator, whatever. This is why I'm wearing this.
This has train wreck written all over it.
Teddy ATS. Here's all I need to tell you, Joe. 22-3 on the road as a starting quarterback in the National Football League. Denver is playing in Jacksonville against the stinky Jaguars. I love that matchup for Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer against the Denver defense and Teddy ATS quarterbacking my Broncos.
All right. Fading Jacksonville this week.
Yes.
All right. 2 options. I will start on Saturday. As you Midwesterners say, it's Saturday as well. Alabama and Florida over 59.5 in this one. Overs hitting 5 straight in this series. That's ancient history. Let's focus on this year. Florida likes to play with an up-tempo offense. The good news is that means they're getting down the field quickly and scoring, or they're giving it right back to Alabama quickly. And Alabama, as we all know, since Nick Saban's gotten there, they can score. Bryce Young completing 70% of his passes this year. They should be able to take advantage of a Florida defense that's looked okay so far this season. They only played Florida Atlantic and University of South Florida, who's atrocious. They still gave up some points. So Bama's going to handle those. The key here is the other side of the equation with Florida. They're deploying 2 quarterbacks in this game. Emory Jones, the starter, Anthony Richardson, the backup, who is a fantastic athlete. He can run, he can extend plays with his legs, he can move the sticks, and that's key because Alabama's front 7 is banged up. 2 linebackers, Christopher Allen out for the year with a foot injury. Will Anderson, knee injury, day-to-day, not sure if he's going to go in this one. So we're going over Bama and Florida 59.5. To the NFL we go, and we mentioned this earlier in Survivor. It's the Steelers -6 over the Raiders. Awful spot for the Raiders in this game. Short week of a huge Monday night win. You know they were out celebrating Monday night. Cross-country travel, early start time, home opener for Pittsburgh. Ton of crowd noise in that matchup. Defense is going to be ferocious. Pittsburgh was able to get after Josh Allen with just 4. They're going to be able to get after Derek Carr with just 4. It's going to be a long, long day for the Raiders. Pittsburgh -6 to go with Alabama and Florida over 59.5. Now that gives you 4 options. So that means it's time for our guest picker, which would be none other than one of our all-time favorites, Anita Marks. Anita, for the 5th leg of this parlay, where are you going to go?
All right, guys, I'm taking the Buffalo Bills -3. Give me the Mafia. I think this line is low because, well, the Bills, they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Meanwhile, the Dolphins, they beat the Patriots, which they should not have. Damian Harris fumbled the football. But keep in mind, the Pittsburgh Steelers were able to get to Josh Allen by just rushing 4. That's not going to be the case with the Miami Dolphins, and it's going to play into his wheelhouse. Meanwhile, Tua only pressured 30% of the time. Is not going to be the case on Sunday. I love the Bills, and I only have to lay 3.
Oh, so it's the 3 of us laying favorites in week 2 of the NFL. That should be not a problem at all. Said no one ever in week 2, which is when the underdogs like to bark. But so be it. Buffalo 0-1, big bounce back spot there. Pittsburgh for all the aforementioned reasons listed earlier. Denver over Jacksonville. Good luck with your redemption against Urban Meyer and the Jaguars. Ohio State coming out early. That's probably got to be the first bet. The first quarter of the first game, we're either 1-0 or we're sunk. $2,100. That'll buy us some nice steak
I'll
dinners.
take you out to a nice seafood dinner and never call you again, Joe Fortenbaugh.
With that crown, I would be quite upset. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's some football coverage. More college on the horizon, but it's time to talk a little baseball. Diamond Dollars is the name of the game. We are making picks every Thursday, which can be tough at times because you get limited action on the night card as we do this show in the evening. But that means we can find some action for tomorrow. So here's where we stand at the current moment. Last week, I had a pick that ended up not even counting because the starting pitcher got scratched. So we go ahead and remain at 76.50 after starting with 100. So that is not good. My man over here, cooking with Crisco, as the kids like to say. Rays Tigers over puts him up to $139.23 after starting with $100.
Yeah.
So job well done.
Yeah. Well.
39% return on your initial investment. That portfolio is cooking with Crisco.
Well, we call it double play because we already lost our original $100. But who needs to know that?
Here nor there. Neither here nor there.
You know, there is one game, Fortenbaugh, on the Thursday slate that doesn't have first pitch until after this here bet presentation is done.
You don't say.
And that would be the Houston Astros visiting the Texas Rangers. And boy, oh boy, here's what I'm doing.
Oh, my God. Look at this.
Here is what I'm doing.
This is the most irresponsible show you have ever had. At every level. Fading Jacksonville, whatever this is.
Well, Astros first 5 run line. You see, that was your best bet last night on Daily Wager, and it
Correct.
cashed. Astros today. Originally, we're going to start Framber Valdez, ground ball specialist, good lefty. The Texas Rangers stink against lefties. Then they scratched him, and they're going with righty Luis Garcia, who is not a ground ball specialist, but he does strike out a lot of opponents, like a healthy 27-28% K rate. A little dangerous there, but here's my thought process here. The Rangers stink. The Astros are really, really good. We only got like 2 or 3 weeks left in the regular season of baseball. So if I want to get back above, I need to get back above $200, Fortenbaugh, because that's what we've invested in this here segment because we both lost our initial $100 investment. So yeah, I am being a little reckless, but time is running out, baby.
A little.
And I'm chasing the dragon, all right? And you know what? I feel like I can do whatever the hell I want with this king or this crown on my head.
Isn't that the Guitar Hero episode, Chasing the Dragon? Do you want to play Dragon? What's a Dragon? Oh, good. Can't mention actually what the name of that alternate game is. So we will just keep moving along. This feels like a weak bet considering what you just witnessed. a little bit more conservative. The Cardinals and the Padres will take on one another tomorrow in St. Louis. I'm going over 8.5 runs, whisking $12.50 to return $22.50. The initial investment plus the winnings. Why? Vince Velasquez, former Philadelphia Philly. Terrible. So bad the Phillies dumped him on Tuesday. The Padres are desperate. They picked him up. They're going to start him on Friday because Blake Snell is out. Velasquez is awful. He has an ERA of 6 that goes up to north of 7 when he pitches on the road. Righty Miles Mikolas, I'm assuming he's Greek.
Miles Michaelis.
5.47 ERA, which skyrockets north of 8 in the month of September. Padres haven't been hitting very well, but this would be an opportunity to put some runs on the board. So a modest wager. A modest wager.
All you need to know about Miles Michaelis, I don't know of his heritage, but he did once eat a lizard when he was in the Texas Rangers system. He ate a live lizard. Yes.
It's a great fun fact. All right, let's talk college football. Bring this episode to a close with some big plays. Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, it's the showdown of showdowns in the Southeastern Conference. Number 1, top-ranked Alabama, laying 14.5, total 59.5. They will be traveling to Florida to take on the Gators. I can't remember the last time a team ranked 11th or even in the vicinity was catching 2 touchdowns plus at home, but they are here. Which way are you going to play it? Oh, look at you.
Oh, yeah, baby. I'm going to take the 2-touchdown and a hook head start with the Florida Gators. One there at the Swamp, tough place to play. Dan Mullen has covered 4 of the last 6 matchups with Nick Saban, even though they haven't won a single game outright. That's not what I'm expecting here. Alabama's the better team, I think, to win. However, with that home field advantage, with some athletes on that side, specifically quarterback Anthony Richardson, who a lot of Florida fans are clamoring to be the full-time starter. Why? He's 6'4", 240 pounds, can run a 4.3, can throw that damn ball over the mountains over there or out of the swamp. And if he shows anything like he did in the first 2 games of this season, where he's averaging 25 yards per rush and 32 yards per passing completion, that's the kind of big play weapon that can keep this game closer than 2 scores against Bama.
I spoiled this one a bit earlier in the Parlay to Paradise, so I think you know where I'm going, which is the over at 59.5. Richardson's a big key to this because Florida's going to have to handle their portion of the scoring to get to a number that's right now just shy of 60. Richardson's ability with his legs, as Tyler mentioned, is the key. He can extend plays. He can move the sticks. And Alabama's front 7, a little shaky right now. Christopher Allen, linebacker, out for the season. Will Anderson battling a knee injury. There's opportunity there. Florida moves at a very fast pace, top 30 in the nation in pace. So that's going to help our over as well. And this is an Alabama team that's been looking to explode. You saw the score last week against Mercer. Dare I say Alabama was definitely holding something back. Dare I say, and then definitely, I'm not sure I can bring all that together, but the point is they're going to get theirs. I hope you're right. We can thread the needle on this one.
For sure.
Let's get a lot of scoring. Final game, Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. It's a whiteout. Penn State, number 10 in your hearts, number 10 in the Associated Press poll as well. Laying 5, total of 53 against the undefeated Auburn Tigers. The SEC and the Big Ten going head-to-head.
You know, I've never been to a whiteout game in Penn State. What was that?
State College.
State College. That's
AKA Happy Valley.
Happy Valley. I wanted to say College Station. I'm like, no, that's certainly in Texas, not in Pennsylvania. But a wise man who has attended a whiteout or 2 in Happy Valley once told me you never bet an over on a whiteout game in Happy Valley
That's
at
facts.
State College. So that wise man's advice is because I am a fair and just king. I respect my subjects. I listen to that subject, and I take his advice. I'm going under here.
Fun fact about my career at Penn State, never attended a football game. Not because I don't like football, but because I may have stayed up a bit too late every Friday night before those games started, and I thought to myself, why would I get out of bed and walk all the way over to Beaver Stadium when I could just continue laying here doing literally nothing? Regrets aside, I'm right with this guy. I'm going to play the under as well. Auburn's offense is overvalued right now. They're averaging 61 points a game, but they played no one. They played Akron. They played Alabama State. You should roll up scores against this. This game comes down to Bo Nix home versus Bo Nix on the road. Auburn's quarterback has not fared well in 12 road games away from Jordan-Hare Stadium. 5-7, and he's never thrown for more than 300 yards. Penn State has a habit of mucking games up. You saw it in the Wisconsin game. All that speed on the Auburn defense is going to give Sean Clifford problems. This game's going to be a grind. The total's been dropping for a reason. Agree with Tyler. The under is the play. still jealous that you look so good in that crown, but we'll leave it there for now.
If the shoe fits.
Tyler Fulghum, Joe Fortenbaugh. We're back Sunday morning with the next installment of Bet. Have a great weekend, everybody.